everyone, and welcome back to the Inside Out podcast Vibe with Seka. What if you could wake up inside your dreams? And what if that experience could profoundly change your life? My guest today is someone who has explored deeply dreaming and lucid dreaming. He's the author of the book Lucid Dreaming for Everyone. Today I welcome Henrik Holmer. Henrik, welcome, and it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Seka. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Henrik, you have been for most of the time a financial advisor and trader. And then suddenly at the age of 40, you start researching lucid dreaming and you write a book about this. For the people that don't know you yet or meet you for the first time, could you just please tell us a little bit more about your previous professional life, anything you want to share, and how did you get to start studying lucid dreaming?
Yeah, thank you. So, I didn't plan to change my career because of dreams. I was working in finance for almost 2 decades. I worked as an investor, as a fund manager, and an equity analyst. But then in my early 40s, I happened to pick up this book that I got as a child about dreams. And I started reading it. And there was this small section in the book was about people who could decide what to dream about, so they could influence their dreams. And I mean, to me, it sounded like magic. It sounded so cool. So I wanted to see if it was possible, if it was real, if I could learn to do that. And I've always been very curious about how the mind works, and all my life I've been reading a lot of philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, and science in general. Now what I did was that I read a lot of scientific research on lucid dreaming. I read a lot of books, watched YouTube channels, and I really tried to learn all I could about lucid dreaming. And then after a few months, I succeeded. I had my first lucid dream. And I have to say that experience was so intense and so fascinating. It was really profound. I could fly out in space. I could transform into animals. And while I was doing this, it was all felt so real, so vivid, and not at all comparable to any other experience. So, I entered like a state of consciousness that is so different from both regular dreams and the waking life experience. So I was totally blown away. I thought, this is the coolest thing ever. Why isn't, everyone doing this? Why isn't everyone talking about this? This should be on the news. I mean, this is the biggest thing ever.
I agree. I really also would love to do it, but I have no idea.
And it was clear to me that, I mean, this is something that everyone can learn to do, because, I mean, we all dream every night. So it's about learning how to dream in a new way. So yeah, that curiosity led me to quit my job and to research lucid dreaming and to write this book about it.
So you quit your job for lucid dreaming?
Yes. That's true.
Are you telling me that everyone can just learn how to lucid dream?
I believe so, definitely. And that's why the book is called Lucid Dreaming for Everyone. So,
yeah. So there are special techniques that you explain in your book, or how does it?
Yes. So maybe we should start with just explaining what lucid dreaming is for those who don't know. So lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming and you know that you're dreaming. And so if you know that you're dreaming, if you know that you are in this dream world and you're conscious about it, there are no limitations to what you can do. So you can do anything when you're lucid. And actually, many people have had a glimpse of this, especially when they were kids, because there are studies showing that about 50% of all people have experienced lucid dreaming once or more in their life, even if they maybe didn't know what it was. But many kids do. And also 20% of people lucid dream every month. So it's completely natural. But it's when you develop the skill further that it really can become not just the experience ever, but have enormous benefits for your waking life too.
Yeah. And are you saying that if you learn how to lucid dream, you can consciously go into dreaming states and then realize you are in a dream, and then you can even kind of steer what you do, what you dream about?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe I should explain a bit what happens in the brain when we dream and what happens when we're lucid dreaming. So if we look at in a regular dream, we all dream. And during REM sleep, when most dreaming happens, the brain becomes very active, but in a very different way from when we're awake. And some areas of the brain becomes very active and some others shut down. So, for example, dreams are very visual. And that's because the visual cortex, the visual part of the brain, is very active. So, and also the motor cortex becomes very active. And that's why dreams often feel like everything is changing. So there's constant movement. And also dreams are very emotional. And that's because the emotional part of the brain becomes very active. So this is, it's very intense. But while this happens, another part, the part of the brain that's responsible for logic, critical thinking, rationality, which is called the prefrontal cortex, that part have very low activity. So that's why in a regular dream, you can accept even the strangest thing as completely normal. If you're flying or if you meet someone who's dead, you don't realize that this is strange because your prefrontal cortex is switched off, you could say. And actually, the brain during REM sleep looks very similar to the brain looks during psychosis. But when you become lucid in a dream, something really cool happens because then the prefrontal cortex switches back on. So this means that in this bizarre dream world you are in, you rationally can understand that this is a dream, and your working memory starts working fine, and your sense of self is working as if you were awake, basically. But you're in this weird dream world, so you can explore it consciously and do whatever you like.
So are you saying that like we are in a lucid dream, we are aware of ourselves, we are still Seka or Henrik, and
Yes.
you realize I'm dreaming. So basically, then you can say I'm going to fly and look at the things. But this, what you see, do you know where is this coming from? Because normally this is not something that we have experienced or learned about. This is your own making new experience in a lucid dream and maybe seeing things for the first time in your lives. It sounds like very complex. And where is this new, even if it's visual information, where is it coming from?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, in one way, it's the same as because we dream, everyone dreams every night. We have about 5 dreams every night. So you always have this imagery, these images and these sometimes narratives, stories and people and things that is happening during all dreams. But the difference here is that you're conscious of it. So it's more that it's basically that you're aware of what's happening in a completely different way. And you can affect what's happening in the dream. But also you can let the dream guide you, which is very cool, I believe, because you can get so much cool things happening. But
so basically, would you agree that our consciousness is actually all the time awake, but our body or brain is sleeping or not sleeping, and in some moments when we are sleeping, our consciousness can be aware of the dreams as well?
Since I became a lucid dreamer, and I've thought about this a lot, and I've read a lot about it, but to me, it's become clear that consciousness in general is something that exists on a spectrum, you could say. And this is true both when we're awake and when we're sleeping. So, during the day, your consciousness you can be very much present and aware in a situation, or you could be, completely lost in thoughts and mind wandering. That shifts during the day, but it's been clear to me that it's the same thing when we dream, because it's just that most people today aren't that aware. So most people aren't aware in their dreams. But I believe that it's completely natural to be aware and conscious inside the dreams too.
And could you just, for me, for our audience, share maybe one of your lucid dreams that you were like, wow, this is amazing? Give us one or few examples.
Actually, I can talk about my first one because that was such a cool experience. One of the coolest things was when I tried to experiment and transform myself into different animals. So I transformed into a fish, and I transformed into an eagle. It was such a strong sense of me actually being the fish and being the eagle. The whole way that my body moved was like completely alien to me. It was something that I don't think I ever could have fantasized.
Was you
It
in the
was
water?
I was in the water, yes, and I felt the water flushing through my gills and everything. It was actually kind of distressing because it was my body wasn't used to it.
I was
And
thinking, how about
likewise,
breathing then at that moment?
yeah, it was actually, it was like someone was spraying a hose with water in my nose and mouth. So it wasn't really that comfortable. And the way the fish was, or I was moving, it was really, weird and alien. So
Could you
that
feel your
was,
body inside or
yeah, for
muscles?
sure,
Or,
for
yeah.
sure.
Wow.
So that was very cool.
I wish I could do that.
Yes. Well, you can.
I would
I
like
think
to be a
everyone can.
cat in my dream
Yeah,
to start. Can you choose it when you in dreams? Okay, I want to be a cat, or it just happens.
absolutely. Yeah.
You can choose.
That's yes. You can do whatever you want in a lucid dream. That's the best part.
Okay. All right. So you were fish, you were swimming, and then you decided to become something else, or
Yeah.
how was it?
A lot of flying. Flying is one thing that it's important to highlight is that it's not like flying in a regular dream, because when you're lucid dreaming, it is so real. I mean, it feels more real than the waking life, even sometimes. So it's the whole experience of knowing that you can do anything. It's very empowering.
I'm just wondering, when you were eagle in your lucid dream.
Yeah.
So basically, you're flying. You feel the air. Do you feel the cold because you're like up there and there is
I didn't feel the
colder?
cold, but what I felt was kind of like when I was the fish, but in a completely different way. The whole way that my body was moving was so alien to me. So it was like, it felt so strange, and it was kind of uncomfortable too. And I was moving so quickly, and it was just a very weird but very real feeling.
How did you know that you are eagle? Could you see yourself?
It was because when I became a fish, I was underwater in this dream world underwater, and I saw a fish, and I remember that. Oh yeah, I can. I'm a lucid I'm lucid dreaming, so I can do whatever I want. I want to become that fish. And the moment I thought that, I became the fish. I was the fish, and the same happened when I became an eagle.
So basically, you are able to create your own new reality, like in an instant.
Yes, yes,
Is it
definitely.
like a sort instant manifestation?
You could say that, or the greatest virtual reality system ever, but it's just inside your head.
So actually, we are ourselves, we are creators.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that your imagination creates what happens in the lucid
Yeah.
dream, or your
Your
expectations.
imagination, or your consciousness, or your higher
Yeah,
self, however you call it. Because I would think that as a human, we do not have a notion of how the fish feels when she's swimming. But you did have that in your lucid dream. And you were feeling uncomfortable because part of your brain was still the rational brain, knowing you're in a dream. And yeah, this is uncomfortable because I'm not used to breathe like this,
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but still sounds very cool to me that you could really feel like you're breathing as a fish because you took like a consciousness of a fish. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
it really
amazing.
felt like that. So it was, yeah, and I can't explain where that comes from, but it's very interesting experience.
It is interesting, triggering. Do you have
Yeah.
another cool dream you can share? Please tell us.
Well, it's always hard when you get to the specific dreams, but flying is. I almost always start by flying because it's so freeing to fly in those dreams. But I have also, interpreted the dream in real time together with the dream when I was presented with weird things and asked, "What does that mean?" The dream could tell me, and I had experiences with where I've been handle actually relationships in waking life by talking to someone in a dream. It's not that I actually talk to that person, but I can handle my own part for example, in a conflict, and then my relationship with that person in waking life becomes easier to handle because I have taken responsibility for my part in let's say a conflict. So lucid dreaming is very much about personal growth and also about handling nightmares and fears by facing my fears. in dreams.
That was really my next questions. How about people who have nightmares? A friend of mine, she's every night full of nightmares. She's screaming, and when she wakes up, she doesn't really remember a lot of it. So
yeah, and one of the many things that you can use lucid dreaming for is to handle nightmares, because it's a lot about knowing yourself. I can talk a bit about how I've been using lucid dreaming, because in the beginning it was a lot of entertainment, of course, having all these magical abilities, do whatever I want, like superpowers, because I have managed to turn negative emotions like stress or frustration or fear into dream science. Since I every time I feel, annoyed, angry, or afraid, I pause to think about my situation. I ask myself, can this be a dream? And if I'm awake, that kind of takes the edge of the situation. I realize that situations aren't as bad as they might seem at first. Or if I do that in a dream, if something is scary in a dream, and I ask myself that question, I become lucid. So then I can handle the scary parts and face my shadow in the dream. And some people really suffer from nightmare. And there is this thing called nightmare disorder. And the way that nightmare disorder is actually treated by if you go to see a therapist for your nightmares, they rewrite the dream, revisit the dream. But if you're a lucid dreamer, you can do that in real time inside the dream.
so you become your own therapist.
Yes, and actually, lucid dreaming has been tested to be used to treat nightmare disorder, and it's showing you some promising results. So, shadow work is popular these days, and Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, parts of ourselves that we see as not being that we're not maybe proud of. Often we repress these. Maybe, even if you're the kindest person ever, you can still feel anger or envy or whatever. We all can do that. And that can be your shadow. And the shadow can appear in the dream as something scary. So as a nightmare. So in a lucid dream, lucid dreamers tend to instead of, if you run from the shadow, if you run from the scary monster in the dream, then you will have more nightmares. And this is known from how nightmare therapy works. But if you instead face the monster, face your shadow, you can ask the shadow, what do you want from me? Or can you teach, is there something I should know? And then you grow as a person, and then you don't have any nightmares anymore. So that happens for me. I had a lot of nightmares before, but these days, since I became a lucid dreamer, I'm not afraid of nightmares. I welcome nightmares because they are often the coolest dreams, because I can always ask the monster, what do you want? And then it often turns out to be some kind of teacher and teaches me a lesson, or we go on an adventure together. But
Amazing that.
Yeah.
It's like every evening you go sleep, you are like going to an adventure, or you're gonna visit places, you're gonna work on yourself. And do you wake up tired in the morning?
After lucid dream, and there are studies on this too, with lucid. After lucid dream, you tend to wake up feeling very energized and be very happy really. So it doesn't take away the rest of the dream or the sleep. On the contrary, it seems to give energy to the dreamer. And I think part of that is because, if you have had a really cool adventure, or if you really felt like a personal growth experience, you get an energy. And it's not like, the dream will go on anyway. It's just that you're a bit more aware when it's happened.
So how can someone actually begin to learn lucid dreaming?
Yeah, that's what we all want to know.
Yes.
Yeah. So it basically comes down to one thing, awareness, as I talked about, because you only need to become aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. That's it. So it's very simple in a way.
And that's a 1 million question, I would say.
But to make that happen, there are, of course, you need to practice. So it's basically two main things you need to train. The first is getting to know your dream world, and the second is practicing awareness in general during the day. So if we talk about how getting to know your dream world, it's really about becoming familiar with your dreams, to recognize your dreams as this place that you return to every night. So you need to be interested in your dreams. So you really should be looking forward to go to sleep. Love your sleep, love your dream world. Think about dreams, talk about dreams with others. But for many people, the first step is to remember the dreams, because most people today don't remember many of their dreams, because I think modern people are kind of disconnected from the dream world. But we all dream about 5 dreams per night. And when I started, I remembered like a couple of dreams per month or so. So I didn't remember many dreams at all. But the good thing is that practicing this to remember more dreams is quite easy. You can start to do some practices and see results within a couple of weeks.
So basically you say if you want to be aware of your dream, you need to start practicing being aware in the moment in the daytime when you're awake.
Yes. Okay. Because the first step is becoming familiar with your dream world. So that's, practicing remembering more of your dreams. You can keep a dream journal, and keeping a dream journal is good because it both helps you remember your dreams, but it will also help you to discover, recurring themes in your dreams, things that you often dream about. And then you do like these reality checks. Now and then during the day, pause and ask yourself, am I dreaming? And you should really mean that question. You should assume that it actually might be a dream. And you can do this when something feels very unusual. I mean, like right now I'm in a podcast talking about dreams. It's kind of a weird situation that I don't do that every day. So this might actually be a good sign that this might be a dream. And I should ask myself right now, am I dreaming right now?
How do you get the answer then?
Yes. So the first step is to build this habit, ask the question many times during the day, and then to really confirm. If I do this when I'm awake, I'll go like, okay, no, this is not a dream. But if I do it in dream, there's a risk that my brain think that, oh, no, I'm not dreaming. So I have to confirm this by doing something called a reality test or a reality check. You can do this in many ways, but it's often about defining physical laws. So I do a simple thing. I pinch my nose and I try to breathe. So if I pinch my nose, if I'm awake and I try to breathe, I couldn't breathe. So that means I'm awake. But if this was a dream, it would be my dream hand pinching my dream nose, and then I would be able to breathe. So then I would know this is a dream. And then I would become lucid. So that's a very simple habit that you can do. And you can pinch your nose anywhere, basically.
That's a good tip. Since we agreed to do this podcast, I have read your book and I have really journaling my dreams, and
very good.
Not always I remember everything. I did realize there are some patterns there, and I really would like to ask you to tell a little bit more about this as well. Huh? But still, I'm not able in a dream to say to myself, am I dreaming? Because my dreams always happen to me.
Yeah.
And I have some wild dreams. And what I also noticed, and I don't know what's your take on this, that most of the time I would revisit the places that I would remember in a dream, I've been here in another dream. This is the same like parking garage or something like this, or, and sometimes I would remember people that I met in another dream, but I do not get there that I can ask, am I dreaming, or can I do this, can I do that? So,
but it sounds like you're coming closer and closer, because if you have that realization that I met this person in a dream before, then you're very close of becoming lucid, actually.
Okay.
But we can talk about, because you've done that first step, then you're starting to get your dream world, and that's great. So, but the real foundation, I would say, of lucid dreaming, that is practicing awareness. And this is the most important part, but it's also the best part of lucid dreaming training, I would say, because it's about training your mind to become more present in all kinds of situations during waking life. If you increase your awareness in general when you're awake, that awareness will follow you into your dreams. So how do you do this? How do you practice this? Well, one thing is try to be curious about life. I like to think of it as being more like a child, really look at things and ask questions, explore the world. For a modern adult person, the best way to practice is some form of mindfulness, I would say. And, many think of meditation, and meditation is a great foundation for mindfulness. But the biggest effect comes when you take what you learn during meditation and try to be mindful in everyday situations. Because mindfulness, that it's not just about sitting still in silence. You can practice it, in a busy situation. You can practice it on the train, or you can practice it in a party, actually. So what I can encourage you and the listeners to try this. The next time you're doing something very mundane, like going to work, doing the dishes, or something really boring, try to do this being completely present and really feel what you're experiencing with all your senses. Or, when you have your first coffee or tea on the day, be still, follow smell it, and feel the warmth of the cup, and feel the steam, and notice the taste. It's really about experiencing the world. When you're walking somewhere, really look at the buildings and trees and so on. So when you start doing this, you become practicing to become aware. And a great side effect from this is that life feels so much richer if you can turn any situation, even the most boring ones, into something exciting. I've really come to think that, after becoming a lucid dreamer and practicing this, my definition of wealth, the richest, the most successful person in the world, in my mind, is the one who can find joy in the smallest things in life. It's a cliche, but, smelling the flowers, or just, feel joy in experiencing, taking a breath. So, yeah.
It's amazing that you say this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just we are on the earth to experience things, with all our senses, and probably in our very busy lives, we are just,
Exactly.
rushing all, and we are staying like on a let's say on the top of experiencing, not taking time to really enjoy that.
Exactly. And it's basically about training the brain, because if we don't train our brain, your brain will drift into mind wandering as soon as it can. It's like the default mode. There is this famous study showing that we spend about 50% of our waking time mind wandering. So that's almost half of your life lost when you're not being present, when you're not being right here, right now, if you don't do anything about it. People complain about not having, people complain about having too little time. And so, me too. But then we spend half of our day being somewhere else than right here and right now. So it's not that thinking is bad. Mind wandering can be good too. But living on autopilot makes much of life disappear. So I've benefited so much from practicing awareness. And the most important for this context is that since I'm practicing being more aware during daytime, it's so much easier for me to become aware in my dreams. It's so much easier for me to remember to do a reality check. Because if you're not used to snapping out of mind wandering, doing reality checks and pinching my nose and asking myself, am I dreaming? It can feel like, forced and like a chore. But when you do that and practicing awareness at the same time, it becomes, a natural part of who you are. So I would say lucid dreaming practice isn't really about these techniques, complicated techniques. It's more about seeing the world in a new way, being curious and practicing attention, and just see the world differently, basically.
So how has lucid dreaming changed you personally?
Well, the best part, one of the major parts is what I talked about before, handling more difficult parts of life, handling being able to say that I'm not afraid of nightmares. That alone is kind of amazing. Since I've learned to face my fears in my dreams, negative things in waking life aren't that negative anymore. That it has really taught me to welcome challenges in life. There are endless situations and endless people in the world that can upset me if I let them. But if I've started to see challenging situations as opportunities for growth, and that has made me so confident. And I realized I can do so much more than I thought before. And I've become a more open and curious person, open toward life and to other people. I realized that when you become curious about other people instead of skeptical, it's like the world starts smiling at you and works in your favor. Before I became a lucid dreamer, I would say I was a bit withdrawn, and I think some people perceive me as maybe a bit grumpy compared to now. But since lucid dreaming provides endless possibilities, I think this has made me more flexible in my thinking. I see opportunities everywhere. Anything feels possible.
Do you feel you have some kind of new ability since you are a lucid dreamer? Or you mentioned like you could become curious about people, but can you also maybe, like, I don't know, understand people deeper without, or feel people, or feel energy or something like that?
I definitely feel that I understand myself a lot better. I understand, since I become more grounded and more aware in the world, I think I can say that I understand the world better and also other people better. Definitely. And I don't know how much of that is because I'm more present as a person. Just being present and aware and curious makes it so much easier to understand other people, because it's so easy to act on impulse and react to people. But if you're curious about someone, I noticed that even people that I wouldn't like before, if I, instead of being reactive toward them or shutting off, if I invite them, if I'm really curious about a person, especially someone who I think I don't like, that person becomes a completely different person. And that's a superpower, I would say.
Yeah. So you feel that like your life kind of evolved in a certain more open way towards
Absolutely.
interactions
Yes.
and really having.
And just to have the sense that anything is possible, of course, I know I can't fly in waking life. It's not that, but like I said, I think my mind is more flexible, and I see so much opportunities everywhere. I mean, I can just look what I've done these last couple of years since I left finance. So I've written a book. I can call myself an author. Doing a thing like this, public speaking or talking on the podcast, especially in English, which is in my language, that would have been terrifying a few years ago. But lucid dreaming has taught me not to take myself too serious and see life as something playful. And related to that, I thought a couple of years ago I should try acting. So acting is something that's really taken me out of my comfort zone. But I started a couple of years ago, and now I actually work as part-time as an actor. I mean, it's small roles. But anyway, I mean, I see opportunities. I want to try everything.
It's such a wonderful way to live your life. Eh?
Yeah, it is.
So tell me, you have written a book about lucid dreaming, and you have read a lot of science and studies about it. So where does the science explain lucid dreaming well, and where does mystery still remain?
So for me, I can start with I wanted to write a book and reach people. There are a lot of books about lucid dreaming, but I wanted to reach people who are not normally, maybe think dreams are a bit woo-woo, So it was very important to me to write a scientific book. But, having so it's a very scientific, grounded book, but having a scientific approach doesn't mean, of course, that science can tell us everything about lucid dreaming. Academic research on lucid dreaming has grown fast. There's a lot of research on it, but it's still a young field. So what I've been trying to do is to combine lucid dreaming research with broader fields like general neuroscience, medicine, and psychology. And what I have found is that a lot of what science tells us about how the body, the brain, how the mind work, that matches pretty well with my own experience of lucid dreaming and how to train the mind to become lucid. But I mean, in the end, it's about the human experience. So science can only take you so far. I mean, human experience is also a source of knowledge. Dreaming in particular is a very subjective experience, because dreaming is a reflection of who the dreamer is. But what I've been trying to focus on are the features of lucid dreaming that many dreamers experience in similar ways. And for me, really studying the science have really helped me understand lucid dreaming better. And especially when I try to focus on approaches that seem to work for everyone. And of course, I realized that this can be a balance. Some might think that I'm too scientific, too limited by this scientific approach. And others may find that I'm too open for philosophical reflections, because I believe the book is also, I definitely include some philosophical thoughts in the book. So I just hope it doesn't have to be this two dividing camps, either science or, so it was important for me to have the book firmly grounded in science, but still leave room for the reader to add personal beliefs if they wish to. Without the problem when you start writing about maybe metaphysical things is that it often becomes very detailed and resonates with some people, but not with everyone. And I really wanted to make it accessible for everyone.
What would be the difference with the lucid dreaming and having a dream coming true?
I don't think that we have to necessarily make the distinction between lucid dream and what's called precognitive dreams. Precognitive dreams, that are dreams that become true. I mean, for all history, there has been many people claiming that they can predict the future in dreams. And I would guess that as a lucid dreamer, you can maybe do this more consciously. But yeah, I write in the book, I have this chapter about predicting the future in dreams. So I have this, first I begin with this skeptical view on it. There are reasons to be skeptical about people who claim to predict the future. But then I talk a bit about why I believe it can be possible in certain ways. I don't know if you want me to talk about.
Yes, please. Yes, because I'm really interested in your view on this. Why you think you can predict the future.
So okay, so if we start with the skeptical side of it, some reasons to why we should be skeptical toward precognitive dreams. So we dream thousands of dreams every year, and many of them will simulate different situations and possibilities. And statistically, it's not that strange if some of those dreams later resemble things that happen in waking life. It would be strange if they didn't. So I think I write in the book, if you dream that your friend breaks his leg and then he sprains his ankle the day after, does it mean you're psychic? Maybe. But statistically, it's not that strange at all.
What do you mean by this? What do you mean by this?
Yes. So what I mean, if we dream thousands of dreams every year, and then it would be statistically likely that some of those dreams will turn out to be things that happen in waking life, because it can be anything, everything.
Yeah. And if it happens, then it's a coincidence, or then it's predicted by the dream. Yeah.
Who knows?
But we actually don't know.
We don't know. But also memory can play tricks on us here, because of course we tend to remember the dreams that match something that happens later, because the waking event triggers the memory of the dream. And what about all the thousands of dreams that didn't come true? And then we have this tendency as humans to look for patterns everywhere. I mean, the human brain is extremely good at connecting dots. It's just that sometimes when the dots don't really belong together, we still connect them in some way. There are all these psychological concepts like confirmation bias, frequency illusion, and so on. So once we start to look for patterns, we see them everywhere. Sometimes it feels like, the whole universe is trying to tell me something, and I see evidence everywhere.
I have that a lot.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
I just don't know what universe is telling me, but I see.
Yeah. So that's the skeptical part of it. But that's not the whole story. Predicting the future is the most normal thing that there is, because your brain is constantly making predictions about the future, both when you're awake and when you're asleep. You wouldn't be able to survive if your brain couldn't predict the future to some degree, but predictions are very complex. So here we come. I write a bit about the unconscious in the book. Your unconscious mind has access to so much more information than your conscious mind does. So it's estimated that your brain is exposed to 11 million bits of sensory information every second, but it can only consciously process 40 bits per second. So the rest is handled unconsciously. So that means it's like your unconscious takes care of 99.9% of everything that's happening to you. So the unconscious mind is constantly collecting, signals, patterns, and cues, subtle cues that you might not notice consciously. When you dream, those signals and cues can be, I believe, combined together into simulations of possible futures. And I don't mean that in some magical or deterministic way, but as probabilities. So in that sense, dreams can sometimes work as a kind of forecast, not a prophecy, more like a weather.
Because a lot of it is just happening in your subconscious, and it's actually pattern recognition, and that's what actually you
Yes,
dream
and a
about.
lot of very complex processes that we consciously can't even start to understand. So your dream might show you the direction of where things are heading based on patterns that your unconscious mind has already detected. Carl Jung talked about this. He's talked about how dreams can anticipate events because many of the major life changes usually develop gradually over time, especially he believed bad things and life crises, because your conscious mind might want to ignore the warning signs, but your unconscious mind will not. So in dreams, the patterns can appear like symbolic messages or story-like scenarios. So yeah, I don't believe that dreams predict the future like some deterministic way or like magic, but I really believe the unconscious mind is often better at noticing where things are heading. We can't say for sure, of course, but I think also it's important not to fall into any extreme. I mean, lots of people never listen to their dreams, and I think they miss a lot of wisdom. But on the other hand, there might be people who see all dreams as some kind of divine messages, and that can be dangerous too. So I mean, be curious, be interested, and it can be fun to interpret your dreams, but test those interpretations. I mean, does this interpretation help me live my life better, or does it make it worse?
So I can see that you're really having all this experience with lucid dreaming and still like very grounded look at it, and and you're making it in use in your human body life here on earth, and not being burdened about all those things. It just kind of get stuck in what is this all meaning? What is it telling me? What should I do? Maybe nothing. Maybe it's how to use it in your life, how to better your life, because we are still here on earth to live the life and to experience this beautiful planet. Yeah, I love really the way you are still grounded about this.
Yeah, because there are many people who have supernatural explanations of things like lucid dreams. And, I'm very open to the fact that there are infinite number of phenomena that we don't understand or can't explain. But I also think that there are so many cool and magical things that we do understand and can explain. And I believe that lucid dreaming is one of those things, because in my research, I have found very good explanations in science for many of my weird experiences. And in those cases, I don't need to add these supernatural explanations. I let the reader do that on their own if they choose to.
The way I see it now, after hearing you and reading the book, is that it seems to me that lucid dreaming is something that really connects us as a human with our greater subconscious mind or consciousness that's most of the time in our daily life is, I would say, it's still present, but not that visible. So it really connects us to ourselves, actually, to the major awareness and connection to the universe, to oneness, to however you call it. Just makes it so much richer, so much more than like it's something part of us and something that we can induce. And maybe, I don't know if we can have a little control about it, because I think our brain is all about control, especially the rational part. But just kind of showing us the bigger consciousness without burdening us with the huger issues or huger questions, or it is just what it is and we have it. So yeah, would you agree?
I agree. Lucid dreaming, I really believe, is for everyone. That's the title of my book, and everyone can learn it. I think that people would really benefit from learning it.
So if
And
somebody
it's
wants to
completely
start
natural.
tonight, what's the first step?
So it's be interested in your dreams. You have to be genuinely interested in your dreams. If you already remember your dreams, that's great. But if you don't, practice, tell yourself all the time, I want to remember my dreams.
Just like
Write a
that. You
dream.
just say, I want to remember my dream before
Yeah, I
you
mean, you have to
close your eyes.
it's not just before you go to sleep, but all the time. Think about dreams all the time during the day. Talk about dreams with your friends and family. But because then it's like you start opening a channel to your dream world. So, and you let your unconscious know that you're interested in dreams and that they are important to you. And also do these reality checks during the day. Pause now and then and ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? And it can be in any situation. If something is weird, if you're in a new place, or if something is very familiar too, because we tend to, if you know your dream world and you notice that, okay, I often dream about being at my parents' place. Well, that's a dream sign. So whenever you think of your parents, ask yourself, am I dreaming? So that's very important. And also, try to really do things. Take some of the boring things today, things that you do every day, that you do completely mind wandering because you do them all the time. Maybe you commute to work or doing the dishes, like I said, or grocery shopping. Do one of those things or several of them completely mindful and try to find small details and use your senses, smell, look, hear, because in that way you'll train your brain to be aware and present and conscious. And that will, if you do it consistently, that will follow you into your dreams and you'll be naturally lucid dreaming.
I'm just going to try this. And it took you 3 months, I
Yes,
understood.
it did. Yeah. But I
So
know people who learn it within a week. So it is definitely possible to do it faster.
it seems to me like you do need to be really interested, because I don't know if you do it like for 3 months every night, so that means you really need to be consistent and, go push through, even if you say, okay, I just want to go sleep, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard if you only think, okay, this sounds kind of cool, I'll try it. I think it's more likely if you are really interested in this and really want to do it and really think about dreams all the time.
All
Start
right. So
loving your dreams.
yeah, exactly. All right. So we mentioned that you wrote a book, Lucid Dreaming for Everyone. Can you tell us and our viewers where we can find your book and where we can contact you if somebody would like to contact you?
Sure, thank you. So yeah, it's easy to find actually to my name, Henrik Holmer, and Lucid Dreaming for Everyone. You can just Google it. But I have a website called luciddreamingforeveryone.com with all the information needed. And I have Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's also Lucid Dreaming for Everyone, where I post small tutorials for those who maybe don't like to read books. They can watch my tutorials for free. I keep posting all the time. So so that's also Lucid Dreaming for Everyone. Or people can connect with me on LinkedIn, Henrik Holmer, and I guess maybe you can put some links.
So Henrik, before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you, like, for your message, maybe a positive message, a message that you would like to put there in universe or online, as it is. So let's say in 50 years from now on, when you and me will probably be only lucid dreaming
Yeah.
somewhere in a universe, but for the future generations, what is the people from now on that will be seeing this video, what would be that message to the world that you would like to leave as your legacy?
Well, I would say that my message to the world is first and foremost, everyone can lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is for everyone. It's a completely natural, and we can all access this if we just learn how. We spend about a third of our lives sleeping, and many people, modern people, see that time as a cost or time that is lost. But it's only lost time if you don't pay attention to your sleep and your dreams. The dream world is a real place with real and tangible effects on your waking life. And I really believe that the world will be a better place if more people practice lucid dreaming. And I know that sounds super corny, but I really believe it's true. Because through lucid dreaming, you get to know yourself on a deep level. You can get to know the world better and understand yourself and the world around you. Your relationships become easier. And, what I really discovered is the way I approach life and the way I approach other people determines whether life feels like a struggle or more like a game. Because there are endless people and situations that can upset me if I just let them. I can't remove bad things from happening, but I can learn how to handle them. So in that way, I'm not only responsible for myself, but I'm responsible for how my behavior affects the people that I meet. And so are all of us. And lucid dreaming taught me this, I would say.
Amazing. And I can see that actually what you are giving out here is the lucid dreaming helped you to understand yourself and understand other people. And actually, I can make you a better person because your reaction still causes positive or negative, angry or just understanding and curious. But it still causes a ripple effects towards the other person. And, and we don't know how much and how far this ripple effect goes. But if lucid dreaming helped you become more conscious about yourself, your being, your connecting and interacting with other people, that can give a positive ripple effect, not only towards yourself, but also towards the rest of the world. If we all would be doing this, how amazing this world would be.
Yes, I believe so. I truly believe so. Yeah.
There would be no war.
Exactly.
I think we would have such a different, wonderful place to live where we would just coexist together, live together, interact, enjoy, because I believe there are resources enough on the earth for everyone.
For sure.
And,
For sure.
And also something that I sometimes really reflect over is, we are the only living beings on earth that you, for example, need to pay to live somewhere. That's something that really is kind of, I realize it, and it shouldn't be. We are on the earth like plants, animals, whatever, stone, earth. So yeah, it would be nice if lucid dreaming could help us all be more aware and be more just, nice to each other.
Yeah. And just one more thing, I've been thinking about, how much it's a lot of talk about psychedelics in recent years. Just think about how much attention that has got. And that's maybe great, but think about this. I think lucid dreaming will get the same attention or even more once people realize that this is something that we have inside of us for free every night if we learn to do it.
Yes, and just to give a little bit my perspective, I read a study where they studied, how psychedelics affect our brains, and they did of brain scans while people were taking some, I don't know, psilocybin or some other psychedelics. And basically what happens is that it would shut down our rational brain. And you would expect it's just like it's working more, but it's not. It was shutting down the rational brain so that emotional in the other side of the brain could be completely aware and and for me, it was really interesting to see. It's not like that we are not seeing this, but because we are so rationally busy with our daily life, especially when you're working with computers, with, the AI nowadays, it's the rational that's really taking over of most of our consciousness. And having the lucid dreaming maybe become more and more a kind of a way of living, and not only a tool, but way of living for all of us. It's just amazing. It really leaves me in awe saying, wow, I could never thought this is always being here. We don't even talk about this.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think in 50 years from now, you will be remembered as one of the forefathers who really explained this beautiful communication, this beautiful tool that we as a human have. You wrote a really scientific book, to the ground book about lucid dreaming that can and will help many, many of us maybe just discovering more about ourselves and our existence and about everything, the people looking for the purpose, looking for, what is it that we are on the earth from, there is just so much more than what we think we are doing in our daily life, get up, eat, drink, work, go, come back, eat and sleep, it's this kind of thing. So there is so much more. Yes, you're right. Well, Henrik, thank you so much for being a guest on my show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. Are you planning any more books? What's future bringing for you?
Well, now I proved to myself that I can write a book. So now I just want to read write more. So I have many ideas. I think it's a bit too early to talk about what they will be about. There will definitely be more books, but then I hope to be able to talk more about lucid dreaming in, these kind of contexts. I want to teach more people to learn how to do it. So I started with this free tutorials on my social media and YouTube, and I'm planning on, developing some more courses on lucid dreaming. So I really hope to make a difference, to teach more people and to raise awareness for everyone that lucid dreaming exists, what it is, how to do it, and what it can be used for.
It would be amazing to join one of your workshops or something that's coming in the future, just to learn people, starting this lucid dreaming community. That would be nice. Like like Robert Monroe started out of body in the 60s. He was already visiting all the realms, while he was also very he was a businessman, even like psychic medium or anything. So the name to remember today is Henrik Holmer, one of the founders of the new way of looking at our humanity and this through the lucid dreaming. Thank you, Henrik, for joining my podcast.
Thank you, Seka.